What's up, guys? It's your man, Donovan Sharp, and welcome to another edition of Sharp Shorts. Thank you guys very, very much for tuning in and showing your support. If you guys like this kind of content, if you like my message, if you like the game that I drop on a daily basis, make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you guys hit that like button. The like button, as we all know, is the most important metric that YouTube uses to determine your place in the algorithm. The more likes you have, the more subscribers you potentially get. And so to business. So I came across this article, and again, shout out to the lovely and talented Devin for making me aware of this article. It was actually posted yesterday on Yahoo News by George Johnson. And the title is How Indian Women Tricked into Sex with Promises of Marriage Are Seeking Justice. Oh boy, let's get into this. On a cold night in January, it starts, oh boy, Akanksha Mehta's phone pinged with a text message that would change her life. A romantic couplet from a popular Bollywood song, Sun Raha Hai Na Tu, are you listening, appeared in her Instagram box, followed by a friendship request. Yeah, that was game by whoever this was. Solid game being run by this guy. Anyway, the article continues. The sender was Abhishek Jindal, also known as Lucky, 27 years old, from Jaipur City in the northern Indian state of Rajasthan. I know I'm butchering the pronunciations. I do apologize. Drawn in, Miss Mehta, a 23-year-old college student, accepted the request. Their online conversations quickly blossomed into real-world romance with dates at local restaurants and walks in the park. He promised to treat me like a princess, Miss Mehta recalls, her voice heavy with regret. But I ended up feeling like a sex slave. So already the narrative has started. She ended up feeling like a sex slave. That's what the 13th Amendment abolished in the United States was for. Slavery is involuntary servitude, being forced to do things you do not want to do. If there were, you said you feel like a sex slave? Did he force you to have sex? Was the sex non-consensual?
Nope.
Okay, then. So already we see, we can start to see that she's building the narrative against him. Mr. Jindal, who claimed to come from a wealthy family, promised marriage. I believed him, and after 1 year of dating, I had consensual sex with him and became pregnant, said Miss Mehta. And if somebody in the chat knows the correct pronunciation, please let me know, because I hate mispronouncing words. But when she shared the news of the pregnancy, her lover's facade crumbled and he abruptly ended the relationship. The next paragraph, the next section, I was deceived, he was married. I was deceived, she said. He was a married man all along with no intention of marrying me. He lured me into premarital sex, Miss Mehta told The Telegraph. In most countries, this would be an unfortunate story with little opportunity for the victim to seek justice. But under new Indian legislation on EPAR, women who lure women into sex with the promise of marriage face 10 years in prison. They face 10 years in prison. What about legislation about women who lure men into marriages with the promise of sex? How about that? What about the other way around? Huh? What about the other way around? What about women who lure men into marriage with the promise of sex and then snap their legs shut? Yeah, I didn't think so. Let's continue. In July, India's government updated its colonial era laws on EPAR, introducing rules around relationships engaged in on false pretenses in Section 69 of the reform. False pretenses, you say? Like women don't enter into relationships? Like men don't enter into relationships under false pretenses? Interesting. Miss Mehta has told her lawyer to press Section 69 of the new criminal code against Jindal and seek the maximum punishment. She's brokenhearted. I was apprehensive that he would come out clean based on consensual sex between two adults, but the new law has given me a new lease on life, she said. Let me repeat that paragraph. I was apprehensive, she said, that he would come out clean based on the consensual sex between two adults. She knew she didn't have a case. She knew that this was her own fault. She said, I thought he was going to come out clean because, well, the sex was consensual. But you said you felt like a sex slave, right? She continues, there should be capital punishment for men who lure women with false promises of marriage and after sex back off. I wish he would rot in jail forever because he destroyed my life. Now, who does that sound like to you? I'm not talking about Jen Chen. No, I'm talking about the white girl. You guys remember Noelle? You guys remember Noelle's crazy ass saying that men who cheat on their women should go to prison or go to jail? Yeah, that sounds absolutely fucking crazy. This woman flew cross country, let Walter Weeks nut in her twice, and now she's on the whatever podcast telling anyone who will listen, Walter Weeks nutted in me raw, and he should be put in jail. Bitch, you were never in a relationship with him. Listen, guys, I say this all the time. Women cannot stand it when men have more game than they do. They can't stand it. Anytime a man gets over on a woman, they want justice. Ms. Mehta discovered the extent of her betrayal when she reminded Mr. Jindal about his promise of marriage. On April 30th, after several furious rows, he came to her home and promised that he would later bring his parents to arrange a marriage. But he soon fled again and cut off all contact. Only after Ms. Mehta filed a complaint against him with Rajasthan police was he found living in the city with his wife and arrested. They arrested this man for having an affair. They arrested this man for tricking a woman into having unprotected sex with him. And let's not let this little thing get away. On April 30th, after several furious rows, he came to her home and promised that he would later bring his parents to arrange a marriage. But he soon fled again and cut off all contact. You know what this means, guys? That means she believed him. That means she believed him. The reason he went over there is so she wouldn't file charges. So he said, hey, look, we're going to get married. She said, okay, all right, let's do. All is forgiven. All is forgiven. He dipped out on her. He ghosted her again. So she went to the cops. So she agreed twice, guys. She had unprotected sex, consensual unprotected sex with this dude. This dude ran solid game on her, and now she's mad. Oh, look at this. Fears law could be misused. Oh, isn't this interesting? Some experts fear that India's expanded new EPAR law could be misused against men. Sajina Waliat, a constitutional human rights lawyer at the Punjab and Haryana High Court, said women who feel wronged in a relationship could easily use it to seek revenge. You don't say. You don't say. The law draws from a woman's presumptions about a relationship. In such cases, the burden of proof shifts onto the accused, she says. It is very convenient for women to go and say this thing, sexual abuse, happened, and we have already had many cases to this effect. Yeah, there was no abuse because the sex was consensual. Soon after the new code was implemented, the court in the Indian state of Kerala acquitted a man who had similarly been accused by a woman of entering into a sexual relationship with her under false pretenses. If materials would show that the relationship is purely consensual without an element of misconception of fact, the same is not EPAR. It's July 9th verdict read. Well, there you go. So this man was convicted of EPAR even though the sex was consensual. But because he lied to her about his intentions, he got put in jail? The key question, the article continues, being examined by the court was whether at the very whether at the very inception there is mutual consent to have sexual intercourse or the same is under a misconception of fact on the promise of marriage or otherwise. The court found no evidence to indicate in this case that the complaint's consent was based on a misunderstanding. How about that? The next section says victims may be reluctant to press charges. So now, again, they're going to spin this narrative. Well, this is the reason why the quote-unquote victims don't press charges. Number one, how are we calling them victims? If the sex was consensual, why are we calling them victims? The conservative nature of Indian society may mean that a few women chose to avail themselves of the new legislation, said Satwinder Sati, the president of Nahi organization that helps abandon women. The fact that girls in India who are deceived by men generally don't want to go to court as it impacts the future prospects of their marriage. Well, there you go. There you go. See, that's a deterrent. You guys see what's happening? Now they have removed the shame that comes with being a hoe, right? They know that they can't bring charges because then everyone will know she's a hoe. In this woman's case, she's a single mom. It's over. Parents never allowed as they fear it could bring shame to the family. Another deterrent from being a hoe. Another issue is that once a case is reported, it endlessly drags on in courts, which acts as a dampener for the victims who might otherwise seek a legal redress. Again, victims. Audrey DeMello, the director of Majli's Law, a women's rights group in India, was more hopeful for the reform. Earlier, lots of promises to marry cases were registered, but they were registered as EPAR. This created total confusion, she told The Telegraph. People will say this is not EPAR or that it is not against her consent. But now the government has culled it out and made it a separate section, she said. So one will actually be able to more clearly see how big this problem is. Otherwise, it was getting hidden among EPAR cases. Gentlemen, the women filing these cases knew this. They are conflating game with EPAR. The number of EPAR cases was expanding, and we were not able to address both the issues separately. This will change now. How about that? How about that? Unbelievable. Something's wrong with the chat. It's a little bit weird. I'm not seeing anything in the chat, so I'm just going to read some of these comments. Now, oh boy, dude, I'm telling you, man, here we go. Elizabeth K says, oh, this is not sexual abuse. Okay. It is a form of, quote, breach of promise, which is an antiquated idea. What if unbelievable. Wow, okay. She says, what if a man genuinely intends to marry his lover, but then honestly changes his mind? Under this law, he is just as bad as the adulterous man who is deceiving his mistress into believing he is willing and able to marry her when he isn't. It's just better for a woman to take responsibility for her own relationship decisions. If you only want a sexual relationship in the context of marriage, then wait for him to actually marry you. Wow, okay. And then a response to that says, this law is clearly intended for those who seek to exploit women and not for those who simply change their mind for other reasons. Can we have a law for women who exploit? There it is. Can we have a law? Well, can we have a law for women who exploit men with the promise of love while they are just after the money? This guy says we need to address the paternity fraud here in the U.S. Oh, dude, we already know that. This guy, Akaleshish, says, I heard that the Indian government, he said, I heard that the Indian government is trying to apply this law retroactively. I think 2/3 of men in India are expected to be serving 10 years. Yeah, right. This guy says, this is a joke. None of these guys will see any jail time. This law is about appearances. Section 69 can't make this up. Wow. So it appears that people are on the, hang on a second. There we go. It appears that people are on the men's side. Here's another one. It says, oh, boy. All right, I'm not getting all into that. Should be enforced both ways. I agree. This dude says the reform is called Section 69. I'm sure it can be enforced both ways. I see what you did there. Yeah, John says, don't give up the candy until you're married. Problem solved. Really think India is going to uphold this new law?
Nope.
Wasn't a medical trainee just assaulted by men a couple of days ago in India? I don't know anything about that. Here's another one. Miss Mehta asking for capital punishment is too much. She has some responsibility also. She should have used birth control to avoid pregnancy before marriage. How do you prove that a man proposed marriage? Wouldn't you need something on writing or recorded? Yeah, right. Like, did she have text messages? They just took her at her word and threw his ass in jail? Here we go. Wow, dude, another avenue for women to extort men in courts. I'm thankful to be happily married because most young adults will never achieve it with these exploitable laws. Wow. Dude, here we go. This isn't a crime. It's a breach of contract. No, it's not a breach of contract. She never signed anything. Here we go. Yet not one word about personal responsibility for the choices they made prior to getting jilted, typical of the media's recent, quote, victim bandwagon push. There you go. Oh, here we go. How men are tricked into how men are tricked into marriage with promises of sex are seeking justice. That's exactly what I talked about. Yeah, imagine if there was an article called that. Imagine if there was an article that had that theme. Yep, there we are. I do agree with you. It happens every day. My thoughts exactly. Spoiler alert, I've seen that movie. Yep. They don't let the romance, actual dates, and your hygiene disappear after the wedding. I don't even know what that is. People are tricked all the time, male and female. Nothing special about this. She should have waited till marriage, not the promise of marriage. Article lost me at dated for an entire year, then finally agreed to have sex. That guy spent an insane amount of money and time to get there. Just go to a massage place next time. Yeah, Kamal says ridiculousness. This woman is embarrassed that she didn't follow her moral guidelines and wait until marriage to have sex. Even if he married her, she still sinned. Basically, I'm embarrassed. People know what I did, and I want men to pay for my embarrassment. Wow. 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 King Life in the chat says the world is realizing the BS. Dude, I'm trying to tell you. Ken Rose with the $5 super chat. Appreciate that very much. Jesus Christ, man. Here's another one. She dated this guy for a year and did not know he was married. Can't see the forest through the trees. This game is played all over the world. Next time, do a little more research into that dreamboat guy with the great smile. Yep. So, guys, it really, just based on these, and of course, you guys I'm getting all sorts of Nevada political ads because I live in Nevada, obviously. Yeah, it really does appear that the world, honestly, man, I did not. They should be seeing, dude, look at this. But it's still okay and legal for women to feign love for a man based on his income. These are dangerous laws for India. The government should have no role to decide if someone's love is true or not. Dude. Wow, the world really is. Waking up. This guy Mike says all my comments are getting taken down for stating when you have the freedom to sleep with who you want, you will have consequences for choosing poorly. Again, women want all of the benefits without any of the costs. They want to sleep around without suffering the consequences. Wow. How about that? Yeah, I think what things like articles like this, laws like that, I don't know, why do you think I'm going to 1-800-Flowers? Look at this. There, look. Even now, they're trying to get me to simp out. Trying to get me to buy diamonds and shit. Look at this. Anyway, sorry about that. Yeah, guys. Yeah, it appears that the world is catching up to the BS. Man, I did not expect to see those kinds of comments. And what appears to be happening is the governments and the media, they are clearly on the far left. Listen, they want to, and again, one of the law number 18, part 2 of the 49 laws of Sharp The second pillar of feminism is removing all freedom from men and giving it to women, while simultaneously removing all responsibility from women and placing it on men. So we get no freedom, but we still have all the responsibility. Women have all the freedom, but no responsibility. That's why this is how laws like this are passed. They are literally taking they're taking the responsibility away from the woman who made a bad decision to sleep with a married man unprotected. They're taking away that responsibility and putting it on the men. But guess what? She still had the freedom to sleep with him. He no longer has, he's going to prison. He no longer has the freedom to sleep with anybody. You guys see how this works? It's insane. Absolutely insane. Guys, listen, leave this in the comments. Leave your thoughts and comments in the comments. Listen, if you agree, disagree, that's fine, whatever the case may be. Just make sure you put it in the comments section. G Manifesto says, Don, correct me if I'm simping, but Indian women aren't like American women. They respect their chastity, so maybe the woman could be considered innocent. Oh, no, you're not simping. You're certainly not simping. But what you're doing is you're removing the responsibility from the woman, right? She's not like you have to understand, G Manifesto. The first part of the article, the article states that this dude slid into her DMs, she accepted the friend request, and they started a romantic relationship. She is not innocent in this. She's not innocent in this. There's no way she's innocent. She made the unilateral decision to have unprotected sex with a man she didn't know was married. That's her responsibility. She is not innocent at all. At all. And just because India has a more conservative culture doesn't mean there aren't Indian hoes over here. This bitch was being a hoe. Switchblade with the $5 super chat says, L to men of my kind right now. Indian men like him need to stop simping and acting like pervert around women. Nope, that's actually not. No. Shout out to the married guy. Shout out to the married guy. Listen, man. Look, dude. The married guy ran game on a 23-year-old. Now, here's the thing. He wasn't simping at all. This dude basically ran Indian version of HBCU game. He basically told this woman everything she wanted to hear. And the reason she believed it is because she thought he came from a wealthy family. That's the reason why she gave it the goods. If he worked down at the local, I don't know what kind of stores, if there's an Indian, if he worked at McDonald's, nope, she'd have done that. Nah, he ran game on her. He convinced her that he came from a wealthy family, and that's probably the reason why. That's probably the reason why she slept with him. You guys know how that goes. All right, guys, I am about to make an appearance, a podcast appearance with Kat Katibi. That podcast starts in just over 5 minutes. And so I'm going to exit stage left here, and I will see you guys in 5 minutes on Kat Katibi's channel. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.